you guys, welcome back to Whispering Willow Farm. We are super excited to be hanging out with you today. First of all, just want to say a huge thank you to all of you guys who have subscribed to our channel and hung out with us for the last few days. We went to our friend's house and man, you guys were so sweet and came over and just gave our channel all the love and support. So thank you guys so much. This video is actually really good timing though. We took to our Instagram, I guess last week, and asked what questions do you guys want to know about our family, our farm, nothing's off limits. And man, yeah, I know that's scary. You guys sent in so many questions. So I think this will be a really good video for those of you who are new to our channel, just to get to know us a little bit better. So thank you guys. And yeah, let's dive in.
This is my first time on camera and I'm not upset.
All right, I kind of have these divided up in family questions and then farming questions, just so it's not super sporadic. We'll actually put up all the questions on the screen for you guys as well. But the first question is, how old is everyone? So Nathan's 38, I am 27. Our oldest, I know, you guys, okay. Our oldest is 10. Charlie is 5, and then Ivy June will be 1 on June 21st, so in just a few days. Do we homeschool, and if so, what curriculum?
That's an interesting question.
This will be our first year homeschooling, so I guess we should kind of talk about the backstory. We are a blended family. You want to go into that a little more?
I can. I was previously married and have a beautiful 10-year-old from a previous marriage. And we share time with her. So
yeah, so she's in public school and has always been and will always be. But Charlie, we have made the decision to homeschool her. She'll be going into kindergarten. We are going to be using The Good and the Beautiful, which came recommended from my friends. I don't know that we will permanently homeschool her. I think this year we're just trying to see what that looks like. It is hard. Nathan works outside of the farm, but a lot of what I do is here. So farming and trying to teach school, it worries me that I'm going to be able to have the time to do it properly. So we are going to see what kindergarten looks like and go from there. Are we religious? This one kind of stung a little when I got it, because I got it from a few different people. Yes, we are, and I'm sorry that hasn't come across where you guys had to ask that question. It's not that we don't talk about God. We don't like to get into the politics of religion. Like, we love Jesus. We are very dedicated to our church. So I guess I just kind of want to say sorry that never came across, that you guys felt the need to even ask that question. But yeah. Oh, you get the next one. Do we plan on having more kids?
Absolutely not. There is no plan to have any more kids.
If the Lord blesses us with another child, we would be happy, but definitely not something that we desire. We'll put it that way. Oh, and Nathan has a really strong opinion on this one too. So home birth versus hospital birth. So we had Charlie in the hospital. I didn't even know home birth was a thing. Very new mom. Was not happy with my birth experience, so I actually went on to become a certified doula, and I still do that. I absolutely love it. I'm very passionate about home births. So yeah, we had Ivy at home, and I'll kind of let him tell a little bit more on that real quick.
Well, just from experiencing both sides, the home birth experience was just wonderful. Being in the comfort of our own home, not having to worry about doctors and nurses coming in and out and all the noises, and just being in our space.
Yeah.
And then after the delivery, within an hour, everything was cleaned up. Mm-hmm. We were ready for bed.
Yeah.
It just was.
It was very peaceful.
It was, and I was a nervous wreck up until, that time came. And then I just realized, man, this is by far a better experience.
Yeah. No disrespect for anyone who has a hospital birth. Like, we did it that way. It just did not suit our needs. I'm a very just chill person, and there was not that type of environment in the hospital. So, and I work with my midwife, so being a doula and working with her just made me feel a lot more comfortable with the whole thing. And it was I labored for like 4 hours and had her peacefully in our bed. Like, it was just such a great experience that you guys have any questions on home births, please send me a message. I would love to talk to you guys more about it.
Highly recommend it.
Yes, absolutely. By far the best experience. And one of our friends asked us the other day, we were over there with Ivy, and she was like, do you not like ever miss this? Like think, oh man, I wish I had this stage again with another child. And I was like, no, the only thing that I really miss was like my birthing experience. Like I would do that again 100 times over. Like it was just that good. So yeah, farming in the postpartum stage, that was actually a lot easier than I thought. I guess like just because my delivery was so well, my recovery was so good. So I had her the end of June, which is peak farming season. My midwife was like, take it easy, don't do too much. But we had a lot of friends come out and help us harvest, preserve food. His brother and my sister-in-law came into town and stayed with us for a while to help us get a lot of things done. And so I cannot recommend enough, lean on your friends and family. If they ask you, I think with Charlie, I was a little prideful and I didn't want anyone to come over and help. I was like, no, I've got this. But then I learned with Ivy, like it takes more than just me to farm. It takes more than just Nathan. Like my body was still healing and I wanted to be respectful of that. But honestly, like we just strapped her on and did what we could do and relied on friends and family to come over and help us. So you can do it. Listen to your body 100% is what I have to say about that. The story behind my tattoo, I don't even know if you guys can see it that well. Yes, this tattoo has a lot of meaning. I actually drew it. It took me like a year or so maybe to even come up with the full design. It's not finished. I would love to completely have it done. We just haven't had the time. When you get a tattoo, it's like, I got this in like the end of summer and it is like a blowtorch when you come out into the heat. So I was like, I want it to be done in the winter and we just haven't made time for it. But when Nathan and I met, we were really passionate about starting a family together and that did not come as easily as we thought it would, unfortunately. So we had 3 miscarriages between Charlie and Ivy. And so I've got these cone flowers and they each have petals fallen. I'm not even sure if you can see. Yeah. And each of those represents our baby. So yeah, that's what that means. And it's really special to us. So that wraps up the family questions. If you guys have any more, just leave them below. We'll be sure and respond to you guys. But here are the farming questions. All right. Must grow veggie. What's your must grow veggie?
Absolutely tomatoes. I guess that's a fruit, but I love tomatoes. I can just come out, pick, eat, you know, right off the vine. But last year we grew the tromboncino squash and I was a little nervous. I'd only ever had crook neck, straight neck squash, but the flavor is amazing, and one squash will feed my family 3 times.
Yeah.
That is a must for me now. We've got a little one behind us.
Say hey. She's been eating dirt, y'all. So my must grow veggie. Oh, that's hard.
Can you hold her?
Sure. I love growing tomatoes, but I'm not like him. I don't like coming out and and just eating a tomato off the vine. That is not my heart's desire. I have really enjoyed the tromboncino squash. It's super fun. I've actually really been enjoying getting into edible flowers, which isn't really a vegetable either. But nothing's really off limits. We eat so many that I just really like trying new things and growing new things. That's super fun for me. Have we thought about getting into berries? We actually have a huge, you can't even see it, but if you've watched our garden tours, you know we have a huge blueberry patch and we have a huge
muscadine.
Girlfriend. Look at all that dirt. We have a huge muscadine patch, so we would love to do more fruit trees and things like that, but we do have quite a few berries on our farm as is. Ooh, Nathan, this is a you question. What percentage are we self-sustained?
Oh, goodness. Not as much as we would like.
Right.
Goodness. I would say it's maybe 20%.
Yeah.
You
so
know,
we don't have a lot of animals here. We've got our chickens for laying hens. We have, yeah, you talking to us? We have got our meat rabbits, and then that's it. And someone else asked, do we have livestock? And we don't. Our property's not set up for that. We were looking into getting a hog, and we decided to go with the meat rabbits instead because it just wasn't worth us ruining our property to have that type of animal. We do buy all of our protein locally from Rabbit Ridge Farms. We'll link them below. And that's something else too that I guess I feel better about. What we can't grow on our farm, we buy locally from other farmers, whether it be vegetables we don't grow, proteins we don't grow, I mean anything, we buy all of it local. So at least I know that it is being grown ethically, you know, by local farmers, which is something really important to us as well.
We're currently looking for another property,
Yeah.
you know, something that we can do a little more with. We're just kind of limited on space where we're at.
Yeah.
So
What size is our property? We are just on a little over an acre, and primarily we only use the back half of our property. Our front half, like where the greenhouse is, there's a nice little area, but the people who lived here before had a garden in that area, and it's too shaded for a garden. So we thought about fencing it in, maybe putting some sort of animal in there, but we don't know. We mainly just use a half back.
the front part of our property is got very mature
Yeah.
oak trees,
Yeah.
and you know,
Yeah.
they're nice. They cut down on our electric bill, so we're not willing to cut those down and do anything.
Yeah. Our growing zone, we are in zone 7. Where do you sell your produce? Or is it just for your family? So I got that question a lot of times. We sell primarily to local restaurants, and we have a few accounts we do there. I'm looking into next season, maybe in the fall, doing a CSA. We do have enough food that we grow for our family and we put up. That's super important for us. I don't want to be selling our produce and then I'm having to buy it somewhere else.
That's right.
But we have some really good accounts. We also work with another farm, so they have high tunnels on their property. We grow on their property and we split our accounts. You are being so loud. You are being so loud.
See, I'm on my screen time.
Let's see. How did we get into farming? So I probably have more of an agricultural background than Nathan. I grew up working on a cattle farm and things like that, to where I went to school for agriculture, learned a lot about it there. He worked at the farmer's co-op for years. So for me, when I went to school, when I thought of farming, I thought of like cattle and horses. I never thought that you could make a living being a vegetable farmer. And I went through a plant science class and like really just dug in and learned this stuff. And once I realized that you could farm vegetables for a living, I was sold. I immediately put in a backyard garden, and each year upscaled and upscaled. And then when we got married, probably like after the first few years we were married, I was like, hey, I really think I want to pursue this for a living. And surprisingly, he was down. I mean, he was very, very open to the idea and just really wanting to change our food system. I really, really am passionate about teaching people how to be sustainable and growing their own food. And so I think that's kind of initially what got us into it, is wanting to help our community have access to good local foods that is affordable, is another thing. Do we ever want to get into aquaponics?
I would love to. I've been fascinated by it for a long time. However, and this goes to us, you know, how did we get into farming?
Self-taught.
Self-taught, but we refuse to go into debt doing this. And I don't know who's more passionate about that statement, Jill or I, but we refuse to go into debt.
Yeah.
And so, as we've upscaled, it's been, you know, because we've had the extra money to do so.
Right.
And aquaponics is something that I'm very fascinated with and would love to, but I'm not going to go out on a limb and, you know, purchase everything that we need to do aquaponics when we're trying to scale in other areas.
Right.
So
yeah. Maybe
in the future.
Yeah, maybe in the future. How do we get our veggies to last? We do a lot of preserving. I really we'll do like harvest and put up days where we have a lot of friends come over and we just all tackle it and I'll split it with them. Our cucumbers, we always pickle. Our tomatoes, we will do a lot of salsa. I also just go ahead and freeze a lot of those and then process those in the winter. And then honestly, we don't really have a lot that we put up. I mean, we sell most of what we grow.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's a very small percentage of what I have to worry about getting to last. I won't harvest it until I know I have a seller for it.
And if it goes bad, we feed it to the chickens or the rabbits.
Yeah, so nothing gets wasted. This will be a you question. What do we use for fertilizer? I will say we are not certified organic or naturally grown, but we do practice those. We don't put anything, but you can let them know whatever we do use.
To be honest with you, last year I don't know that we fertilized other than adding compost after we planted. You know, we take care of our ground. Most of our in-ground beds are all compost. You know, very rich soil. Some of our in-ground beds, like our purple hull peas, you know, we would just top dress with compost.
Yeah. And someone asked, where was that question? How do we keep the pests away? Again, we maybe do one treatment of neem oil a season, which I've already done that. We'll do diatomaceous earth around, like right now I've done it on my brassicas and my beets. But y'all, if you're wanting to practice naturally and organically, I hate to tell you this, but it is a lot of hand picking. I come out every single morning and every single night, and I look underneath all my squash leaves and I hand pick all the squash bugs off, or the eggs. I hand pick all the aphids off. You can do ladybugs. Praying mantises are really good for natural pest control, but we don't use anything.
Yeah, we don't spray.
We don't, yeah, even natural options. Like I said, we usually do one thing of neem and that's it. And that's unfortunate, but once you're out here and you make it that routine, like it's just something I do. Every morning I come out and I walk the garden, and every evening I come out and I walk the garden, and that gives me a chance to kind of get a grip on it.
And then with tomato hornworms, we learned 2 years ago from
Jess and Maya.
They bought a blacklight flashlight, and they come out at night and pick hornworms. The hornworms glow under the black light, and that is really fun.
It's a game changer.
That is really fun.
Yeah. How do you grow cucamelons? I don't know.
I've been dying for some cucamelons.
This is my 3rd year, you guys, to try to grow cucamelons. I was told to direct sow them, and I did, and nothing happened. I was told to transplant them, and I did, and I lost them. So this is my 1st year that I actually have established cucamelon plants. So I wish I had more tips for you guys, but I don't know. Cucamelons are something I'm learning, and I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that I can actually have some this year. When do I start seedlings? I start my tomatoes in January, and then my peppers will be like later February. My squash and zucchini I start much later because they grow so quickly. I'm starting tomatoes now for a late summer crop. So it's just, I'm constantly always starting seeds and rotating out depending on what we're growing. What is another one? Do we have a schedule or just wing it? I am totally a just wing it person. Nathan is totally a schedule person. So we're trying to figure that out. Typically on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we are at Rabbit Ridge working in the high tunnels there. And yeah, that's really the only set schedule.
It's been a little different since this whole quarantine thing.
Yeah.
You know, typically I'm on the road, you know, 5 days a week. And
like he's home at night, but his job, he travels for his job during the day. Yeah.
And so it's been a little different lately, but
right now that is the only thing we have that is in stone. Every Tuesday and Thursday we go and work in the high tunnels.
Yeah. Everything
Everything else we just wing it.
Mama wins that battle most of the time.
I will try to do better. What do we eat on the regular?
Oh goodness.
What we have. That changes based off of what we have in season, really. Nathan is the cook of the family, thank the Lord. I'd rather spend my time outside, so he always cooks dinner. Usually though, like, it's so weird, so we don't do a lot of casseroles. Like, we have a protein, a starch, and a veggie, and it's kind of boring, but that's usually what we always do. We eat lots of sweet potatoes, we eat lots of squash and zucchini, Brussels sprouts,
broccoli.
We do breakfast a lot, like if we're in a pinch, you know, like bacon and eggs. But yeah, we mainly just eat whatever's in season is how we do that. Why did we get into rabbits? What are we using for their cage, and why did we choose rabbits? I'll let you take that one.
Well, so we have some friends of ours that I don't know how long they've been,
I think for a while,
doing rabbits,
yeah.
but they've become some pretty good friends, and we were just fascinated by it. They invited us over one night and cooked us some rabbit, and we absolutely loved it.
It was so good, you guys.
And you know, they were just telling us how small of an investment it was to get started with rabbits, and so we thought, okay, well, small
you guys,
investment.
we got a
great.
deal. We bartered wine for rabbits. It was
Yes.
great.
We make homemade wine. They were interested in homemade wine. We were interested in rabbits. It worked out great.
They're in our old quail pen. So Nathan cut off the legs of our quail cage. What is it? And we're using that, and we move them every day on the grass, and it's worked out well. But yeah, it was just for the space that we had and that we were working with, it seemed like a really good supplemental protein option. All right, how do we prune our steak tomatoes? Why do we think this is important? So I guess I'll do the first half of this. We use the Satin Trellis system, and he uses for his cucumbers. It works really good for tomatoes. We have T-post on either end, conduit across the top, and then you essentially tie tomato twine around the base of your plant and then wrap it, and you'll continue to wrap it as it grows and it trellises up. The benefit of this is we plant our tomatoes really close. It allows a lot of airflow. Way cheaper than doing like a cattle panel, which is a great idea. It's just cheaper for us to do this option, especially as many as we have. Cheaper than tomato cages. It works a lot better. Yeah. Anything you want to add to that?
We were looking for different trellis, systems, and we watched Josh Sattin's video, and
I'll link it below so you guys can check it out.
Yes, and liked the idea, and it was very inexpensive, and so not wanting to invest a lot of money into something that we were going to attempt or try, we thought that was the best solution.
Yeah.
I don't know if that is the best way, but that's what we set up last year, and we're going to go with it this year.
In our high tunnels, we're doing the Florida weave, and they're determinate tomatoes. The ones I have out here are indeterminate, so that does make a difference.
Yes.
But the stake and weave, if you're a single person, like for as many tomatoes as I'm growing, I'm primarily doing all the labor. It makes more sense to do that in the high tunnels because I can do them by myself, and I won't get overrun with just pruning tomatoes.
Yeah.
Why is it important? We are heavy pruners, and you will see lots of different opinions on this. The reason we heavily prune is because we plant close together. I want airflow. I don't want the plant spending any time putting its nutrients towards anything that's not going to produce fruit, which is why we heavy prune. We mainly prune to what is producing the clusters of blooms, and a lot of the other ones go. It's just really important for you. You don't have a lot of disease. You get good airflow and circulation. The fruit that it does produce is much larger fruit. So we have just seen lots of benefits to pruning our tomatoes. As far as staking them, that's just how we do it. There are lots of good systems out there. So just figure out what works best for you guys, what you're willing to spend on it. And that's just one of those things you have to experiment with.
And I think it could come down to, what zone you're in. Obviously, we're in Zone 7, Arkansas. Humidity is horrible. Mm-hmm. And so, the more pruning you do, you can plant your tomato plants a little bit closer and not have to worry about that disease. And, it makes sense for us.
Yeah. So, tips for in-ground gardening. This one is hard. We have an in-ground garden. The worst thing with in-ground gardening is weeds. So, what I would recommend is putting down ground cover, landscape fabric, and like building your beds, putting that over it, burning your holes for where you want to put your vegetables in, and I think that's going to be your best way. Otherwise, especially if you live in a humid, hot area, you're going to get overrun with weeds. Nathan takes a torch and he torches all of the weeds, and that is just as time consuming as if I were to go out there and hand weed it. So next year you just invest. We'll put some landscape fabric below that we use. I think it'd just be worth it to do that. Yeah.
We've tried to do things as cheap as possible or with little investment, but it always takes way more time. We did put down ground cover several months before we were ready to plant.
Prep your ground. That's going to make a huge thing. Kill your grass naturally, or however you choose to do that. It makes a huge difference. We had tarps out all winter just trying to kill the grass, and then came in, and I do think it would make, if you could do it, bring in compost and build your beds out of compost and not in ground, especially if you have rocky clay soil.
Yes,
just build up your beds.
Yep, absolutely. That being said, the investment in ground cover, I think in the long run will pay for itself.
Our in-ground gardens are always harder.
Yes.
They just always are. So just stay consistent, stay encouraged. That wraps up all of our questions for today. Thank you guys so much for just investing in our family, for wanting to know more about us, and for tuning in on our journey. We are super excited to share our new adventure growing in high tunnels with you guys. We're just really excited that you guys are wanting to hang out with us. So thank you guys so much. Hope you enjoyed this video. And yeah, we'll talk to y'all soon.
Thanks, guys.
Say bye, Ivy June.
Bye-bye.